Some call it the Devil's Triangle. Some refer to it as the limbo of the lost. But most people recognize it as the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle has been mystified for decades as the paranormal patch of the ocean, where ships and aircrafts are prone to lose contact with the outside world, to vanish forever. And every few years, there's a report that goes viral claiming that the scientists have finally solved the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. But before we accept any of these explanations, a good skeptic should ask a more basic question. Is there really any mystery to explain? The area whose boundaries are not universally agreed upon and is vaguely triangular in shape, marked by the Atlantic coast of Florida, Bermuda, and the Greater Antilles. You won't find it on any official map, and if you're sailing in the Atlantic, you're not even going to recognize when you cross its vague boundaries. Nevertheless, Atlantic Ocean's fabled Bermuda Triangle has captured the human imagination for decades and has been the subject of discussion in thousands of popular books, movies, and documentaries. But why all the attention? Let's trace back the hype. Centuries before anyone had ever heard of the term Bermuda Triangle, the islands of Bermuda had already developed a reputation of being a mysterious and a dangerous place. The stories begin in the time of Christopher Columbus, when he reportedly saw a flame of fire crashing into the sea in the triangle during his first voyage to the New World. However, it was only after when the Navy cargo ship USS Cyclops, with more than 300 people on board, went missing that the area attracted public attention. Then in 1945, while doing routine training exercises, 5 US Navy planes and 14 men disappeared in the area. The flight's leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, was heard over the radio saying,
"Everything is wrong. Even the ocean looks different."
The US Navy investigated and ultimately reported the incident as cause unknown. They were never seen again and no wreckage was ever recovered. But the term Bermuda Triangle was first coined in a men's magazine in 1964 by writer Vincent Gaddis. In an article titled "The Deadly Bermuda Triangle," he cited a string of shipwrecks and aircraft disappearances, offering atmospheric aberrations or magnetic disturbance as possible explanations, though it was popularized internationally by a more famous personality a decade later, Charles Berlitz. Charles had a strong interest in the paranormal. He not only believed that the Atlantis was real, but also that it was somehow connected to the triangle, a theory he proposed in his best-selling 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle. These stories captivated the public and fascinated many who leaned towards believing imaginative and bizarre explanations. Some suggested aliens capturing humans for study or even underground alien bases. Some speculated about vortices that suck objects into other dimensions. Some expanded upon Berlitz's ideas and imagined that crystal energies coming from the Atlantis below the triangle sunk ships and planes. Other fanciful ideas like time portals were also on the table. Some theories were more grounded in science, if not evidence. For example, rogue tidal waves or oceanic flatulence, in which the highly flammable methane gas is theorized to erupt from the ocean sediments, which may get ignited through lightning or electrical sparks. But of course, methane exists in the oceans all around the world, and such an incident has never been known to happen. Some claim that geomagnetic disruptions create navigational problems. But then again, pilots are already trained to fly without electronic navigation. In fact, the US Navy itself debunks the idea. It has been inaccurately claimed that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the 2 places on Earth at which a magnetic compass points towards the true north. Normally, a compass will point towards the magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation. Although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region, due to the fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, this has apparently not been the case since the 19th century. People find such mysterious explanations exciting and fascinating. And with the Bermuda Triangle, the conjectures have been going around for decades. Some people have even asked if there is a Bermuda Triangle angle with the disappearance of the flight MH370 of the Malaysian Airlines, even though the plane went missing halfway around the globe. However, when we take the time and dig deeper into most of the cases and not jump to conclusions, they start to look much more ordinary and the mystery starts to disappear. Let's take the case of the disappearance of Charles Taylor and the 5 planes, which was investigated by the US Navy. The inquiry found that Taylor was navigating the planes to the wrong position as the weather changed and it got dark outside. 4 of the pilots were actually students who were flying to get experience and Taylor was instructing them. Taylor already had a history of getting lost while flying and had been rescued by the Navy twice in the Pacific Ocean. The incident was ultimately described as cause unknown because Taylor's mother did not want her son to be blamed for the disappearance. She maintained that the Navy cannot say for sure what had happened if they couldn't find the aircraft. But once an aircraft sinks in the vast ocean, given that only 5% of the ocean has been explored, they are often never found again. What's more is that the aircraft they had been flying were known to sink in as little as 45 seconds if they landed in water. In the days prior to improved weather forecasting, Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes that passed through the Bermuda Triangle in abundance claimed many ships. Additionally, the large number of islands in the Caribbean Sea create many areas of shallow water that can be dangerous to ship navigation. The Gulf Stream can also cause rapid, sometimes violent changes in weather. A journalist named Larry Kusche asked the same question and in his research came to the conclusion that there is no mystery about the strange disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. Kusche re-examined the mysterious disappearances and found that the legend was basically created by mistakes, mystery-mongering, and in some cases outright fabrication, all being passed along as fact-checked truth. In his definitive book, The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved, Kusche notes that out of the writers that wrote on the topic, only a few bothered to do any real investigation. They mostly collected and repeated what earlier other writers had wrote, who had done the same. Unfortunately, Charles Berlitz's writing skills did not carry over into credible research or scholarship ability. His books were riddled with errors, mistakes, and unscientific theories. In a way, the Bermuda Triangle is largely a creation of Charles Berlitz's mistakes. Kusche would later note that Berlitz's research was so sloppy that if Berlitz were to report that a boat were red, the chances of it being some other color is almost a certainty. In some cases, there's not even a record of the ships and planes claimed to have been lost in the triangular graveyard. They never existed outside of a writer's imagination. In other cases, the ships and planes were real enough, but Berlitz and others neglected to mention that they mysteriously disappeared during bad storms. Other times, the vessels sank far outside the Bermuda Triangle. What should also be noted is that the vicinity of the Bermuda Triangle is amongst the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world, and obviously more ships will sink there than in the less traveled areas such as the South Pacific. But proportionally speaking, it has been shown that the number of ships and aircrafts reported missing in the Bermuda Triangle is not much larger than in any other part of the ocean. In fact, from the mid-1940s to the mid-1980s, more small planes have crashed over the US mainland than in the Bermuda Triangle. But because they crashed on land where the wreckage was found, they were not considered mysterious. Even the US Navy and Coast Guard have contended that there are no supernatural explanations for disasters at sea. They add that no official maps exist that delineate the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle, meaning that they do not even recognize the Bermuda Triangle. Despite the fact that the Bermuda Triangle has been debunked for decades, it still appears as an unsolved mystery in new books and movies, mostly by authors more interested in a sensational story than facts. The ocean has always been a mysterious place to humans. But in the end, there's no need to invoke time portals, Atlantis, submerged UFO bases, geomagnetic anomalies, tidal waves, or anything else to understand the Bermuda Triangle. It has a much simpler explanation, sloppy research, and sensational mystery-mongering books. Still, the superstition continues around this very small piece of the ocean, so much so that some people refuse to travel across it. Recently, a science channel claimed that maybe its strange hexagonal clouds act as air bombs, rogue waves, or perhaps some freak whirlpool. Just one problem with all of these explanations: the Bermuda Triangle doesn't actually exist and there is no mystery to solve. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can suggest us anything in the comment section below.